So let's move on to this wall here. First we're gonna try and make a brick material. So let's go back to CG textures and look for brick. Some nice regular red brick, something like this. Right, I like this one here. Let's use this one. I'm gonna use the tiled image. I'm gonna open it in Photoshop. Right. So this is going to be our basic diffuse. What we want to do is create a displacement map from this one here. So I'm gonna use the color range selection tool and I'm gonna pick these lighter seams. Right. Okay, so now they are selected. I'm gonna press Ctrl J to duplicate them. Okay, let's duplicate the background layer as well. Desaturate it. And make it lighter. Like this. Okay. And now for the seams, we want to make them dark. So the dark parts will go in and the lighter parts will go out when we use the displacement. Okay, let's invert our bricks texture. Why did I do that? Look at these little white spots. They're gonna go out when we use displacement, so I'm inverting the texture, so it's better that they go in, not out. And we can change the rest of the texture to lighter color, like this. Right. Okay, I'm gonna duplicate the seams layer again and I'm gonna blur it slightly. Right, and duplicate one more time and blur a bit less. Like this. Okay, so let's merge these layers together. Just select the layers and press Ctrl E. Now with the curves tool I'm gonna bring up the contrast a bit. Right. So then I think this will work fine as a displacement map. I'm gonna save it. Brick displace, okay. And let's try using this diffuse texture we have here. Actually, I think it's a bit too red. I'm gonna press Ctrl U to bring up the hue saturation tool. Okay. And reduce the saturation a bit. And shift the hue more to yellow. Something like this. And maybe with the curves tool I'm gonna make it a bit darker. Right. Resave. And let's try it out on our wall. And create a new VRAM material. Name it bricks. And set up the diffuse map first. Okay, let's fix the tiling. Right, I think this might be fine. So 10 by 10. Let's add the displacement map. And set it to 10 by 10 as well. And let's set the displacement value to something like 0.8 for let's render and see. So the texture is a bit too blurry, especially as it goes on into the distance. Let's try and fix that. Okay, I'm gonna render just this little region here. Right, so first I'm gonna increase the displacement to 1, okay, maybe 2, and reduce the blurring of the texture to 0.5. And I'm gonna reduce the blur for the diffuse texture as well. Okay, and copy the displacement texture and paste in the bump slot for some finer details. Re-render. So now you can see some 3D shape for these bricks. You can see they are sticking out of the wall. Looks good. They're also a bit crisper since we reduced the blurring. Right, so I'm not too happy about the color. I think the themes are a bit too bright. So what I'm going to do is select the theme color with color range tool. And duplicate it. And use the hue saturation on it. And bring the lightness down. Maybe saturation as well. Something like this. Right, and let's resave it. Okay, let's create a reflection map as well. Desaturate the base. and desaturate the seams. Go like this. Merge down, and make it a bit more contrasty with curves. Right. Okay, let's go back to our material and set up the reflect color with this texture. 10 by 10. Let's blur it. 0.4. And enable Fresnel. Let's set it at 4 as well. Okay. And let's see how it looks. I think we can probably increase the bump value a bit and make the reflections a bit weaker. I'll set my bump to 100, maybe reduce the displacement to 1.5 and bring down the reflections to 70. Right, I think this will be fine. And re-render the whole image. So while it's rendering, I'm gonna go ahead and create a texture for painted brick wall. Okay, so let's, for example, paint it white and see how that looks. And create a new layer, fill it with white color. Okay, white. And bring down the opacity slightly, like this. Okay, select all, copy merged, paste, and reduce the saturation, like this. I'm gonna bring up the contrast slightly. Okay. I think this is fine. And I'm gonna resave it with a different name. Bricks diffuse white. So the only thing we need to change to get some white bricks is the diffuse color. Okay, so that's a pretty decent regular brick wall. Some realistic displacement going on. Now we're gonna try and make it white. Okay, let's duplicate this material, rename it to bricks white. And change the diffuse map to this one here. Right. I'm gonna re-render a small patch to see the difference. So one more difference you would usually have in real life in painted bricks and regular bricks is that the painted bricks are more glossy. The reflections are a bit sharper and have some more pronounced highlights. Well, the regular bricks are pretty diffused, and the rough surface makes the reflections very diffused. The oil paint that is usually used outside is pretty reflective and shiny. So what we're going to do is increase the reflection glossiness to 0.85. Maybe reduce the displacement a bit. I'm gonna try 1. Right, let's re-render. I think this looks fine for a painted wall, for a freshly painted wall. Okay, so if we want to make it a bit more realistic, a bit more old, dirty and worn, we need to add some dirt on top of the wall. And the rain falls, brings down some dust, dirt, and it makes these patches along the top edge here. I'm going to duplicate the layer, rename it to bricks white dirty. Okay, and we're going to use the mix map to create the dirt effect. Okay, so I'm looking for a nice texture to use. Right, so I like this one here. I'm gonna download the largest image, open it in Photoshop. Crop it like this. And I'm gonna make it black and white. So I'm gonna reduce the saturation. And with levels, increase the contrast. Actually, I'm just gonna use this color picker tool and make this part white and this part black, like this. Now with the clone stamp tool, I'm gonna close these areas here. Right. Let's make it tileable horizontally. It's pretty hard to see any seams here. So I think we can leave it as it is. And let's crop it vertically like this. So imagine this is a section of a wall, and this upper part is gonna be dirty and the lower part is gonna be cleaner. Okay, so try to guess the proportions, something like this maybe. I'm gonna fill this part with white color. Maybe let's clone some areas here. Right, let's increase the contrast again. Like this. And I'm gonna save this image. Let's name it wall mask. Okay, let's go back to 3D Max and set up our masking here. So I'm gonna go to diffuse, change it from bitmap to mix, and keep my old map as submap. I'm gonna set up my second color. So let's say something red for now. I'm gonna use this bitmap. Okay, let's swap the colors. So red is on top. Show this map in viewport and assign to our object. Try to position it in the correct place. Okay, so something like this. And let's change the red color. Something like dirty brown. Right. Let's render the top portion now. Okay, so I think we have to make it darker. Maybe add some dirt to the whole texture. So since there are trees along the wall, the dirt would probably be a bit greenish in color. Okay, maybe like that. Now let's mix this whole combo of textures with another dirt map. I'm gonna change it to another mix, keep old map as submap, set the second color to something dark brown like this maybe. And as mix amount I'm gonna use this dirt texture here. Alright, let's see it. Increase the tiling. Right. Let's test it out. So the top part looks okay, but the color is a bit too similar to this one here. I'm gonna make this a bit more desaturated and lighter, like that. So you can play around with these colors, try some different dirt maps for some different effects, but I hope you get the basic idea. You can use the same technique with the brick texture we had, except we have to change the color to something darker. Like this. Maybe this texture is a bit too continuous. Let's make some parts that are not so dirty. It should look a bit better now. Right, so that's the basic idea for the brick wall or dirty brick wall. Okay, for bricks we want lower glossiness. Right, so let's step back a bit. And see how it looks together. Okay, so that's how you make a brick material.